Hi there, Jackie Ray here. Welcome to Sister Science, a course that I've created for both students and teachers and anyone who wants to have a little bit more balance, love, and connection in their life. So far, we've begun to dive into the world of Ayurveda from a viewpoint that allows us to begin to understand how the universal elements affect our daily lives. We've learned how to begin an Ayurvedic routine, hopefully that is in tune with our needs and our abilities. We've also begun to understand our dietary needs from an Ayurvedic perspective, which is very unique to each and every one of us. I hope you're beginning to understand how the universal elements manifest in each one of us, in our behaviors, our attitudes, our lifestyles, and in our diets as well. Yesterday, we began to introduce a new concept as well, about the way the foods that we eat affect the mind and the qualities of the mind. Today, we're going to discuss Ayurveda and the concepts of mental health more in detail, and hopefully, by the end of this lesson, after you complete the worksheets provided, you'll be able to recognize how these qualities are showing up in your mental attitudes, in your emotions, and in your life. So let's get started, shall we? Yesterday, we spoke a little bit about how the foods that we eat have the ability to affect our state of mind, how fresh, living foods provide our minds with a peaceful quality of love and light. We talked a little bit about how stimulating foods have a stimulating effect on the mind, and how heavily processed foods have an almost lethargic or depressive effect on the mind. These qualities of the mind are what we will talk about today in more detail. We will learn how to recognize what state of mind we are in and how to become consciously aware of where we want to go. After this lesson, hopefully you will be able to understand what state of mind, Ayurvedically speaking, you are living in, and if need be, you'll understand how to move into a more peaceful and healing space. There are three qualities that we speak of often in Ayurveda and yoga. These states are the three qualities or states of mind. When the mind is peaceful, when it's loving, and in a state of authentic existence, we refer to this state as sattva, or the state of purity, the state of goodness and love. When the mind is in active turmoil, when it's overactive, and when it's in a constant state of movement, jumping from place to place, we refer to this state as rajas, or the mode of passion. When the mind is in a state of inertia, when it's stagnant, when we are in a state of intense depression or decay, this state is known as tamas, or the mode of ignorance. These three qualities of the mind are referred to in Ayurveda as the three gunas, but it is more important to understand their qualities than their names, at least right now. What I really want you to remember is to not get caught in trying to remember or focus on recalling all of the Sanskrit names, because that at this time is not as important as understanding the qualities themselves. Each of these qualities will show itself in each one of us at various times in our lives. They are mental attributes that, when in balance, can create a sense of immense calm, love, and contentment in our whole being, spilling over into our physical bodies and creating an expansive space of abundance in health and well-being. Likewise, when we're in a perhaps, for lack of a better word, in a negative state of mind, we feel out of balance, and this shift from our center will leave us feeling physically exhausted, emotionally drained, and will quickly remove us from our path to well-being, rather taking us to a place of physical strain, stress, and anxiety. Understanding not only our physical and elemental combinations, but also our mental constitution will allow us to fully recognize what the best course of action is. When we can recognize our current state of mind and realize exactly what practices are feeding that state, sometimes negative practices and sometimes positive practices, we can begin to take corrective action, taking into account the elements as well as our state of mind. Just like our physical constitution is unique to us, as is our mental state. We sometimes have a predisposition to our state of mind, either from our past conditioning or simply out of habit. However, regardless of this fact, by tuning in to our current mental state, which is also referred to as our mental prakriti, we can begin to move from a place of mental, perhaps distress, or even intense anxiety, and into a place of peace and unconditional love. Because just like the elements that are in the physical world, the ones we've been talking about, space, air, fire, water, and earth, which we've discussed in quite a bit of detail, can be found everywhere throughout the universe, as are these energetic qualities in nature, forces that are abundant throughout the universe, in our world, in our physical bodies, and in our minds as well. When we begin to recognize these universal qualities in each one of us, we can begin to shift from a place where we're victims of the patterns of our mind to a place of conscious understanding and co-creation of our mental state. Because these qualities of mind are directly related to our thought patterns, to the practices we participate in, to the foods we eat, to the company we keep, and so on. When we begin to understand these qualities, we can begin to move from a place of, why is this happening to me? To, well, let's do something to change this. Now, of course, we all understand that the best place to be, mentally speaking, is in a clear, calm, collected, and loving state of mind. But how do we get there? First, we need to understand that our state of mind is directly related to various factors, including the foods we eat, the activities that we do, and the lifestyle that we live. We are already on the path to balance because we're already beginning to live according to Ayurvedic principles, which will, without effort, begin to move us from a place of perhaps negativity and turmoil into a place of mental peace and well-being. When our minds are in a state of negative thought patterns, we refer to this state as tamas, or a tamasic state of mind. When our mind is in a tamasic state, it's easily recognizable because we live in a state of anxiety, fear. We may have difficulty getting up in the morning. We feel lazy and uninterested in the day-to-day life. Life is no longer joyous, or may even seem like it's not worth living. We are depressed and angry at the world. We may have thoughts of harming ourselves or others and have little control of these thoughts or negative feelings and emotions. At work, we are lazy and forgetful. We've lost interest. We may turn to drugs, alcohol, or other stimulants, or other negative behavioral patterns that do not do us or those around us any good. We've lost that peace of mind. We have no interest in creative efforts, and we rarely speak truthfully about our feelings or emotions. When we are in a tamasic state of mind, we desire much that we cannot have. We may become obsessive or compulsive in our behavior, and it becomes hard to give or to express love. We feel lost, alone, and without a spiritual path. Tamas is the quality of inertia, of ignorance, and of darkness. The second quality that you will be able to recognize showing itself in your mental attitudes is recognized primarily as an active force of nature. When our five senses are out of balance, when we talk fast, when we move fast, think fast, when everything seems to be speeding by at a quick and speedy pace, we are in a state of constant movement and activity. The mind is restless. We may be overindulging in stimulants. We may be agitated mentally. We're in a state of disharmony, mentally and physically speaking. We're in a state that's ever changing, moving from one thing to another, jumping about, seeking some sort of peace, only to find that it's just beyond our reach. We're creative, and then we're not. We are happy, and then we're not. We are sad, and then we're not. We sometimes tell the truth, but sometimes we don't. We want to be on a spiritual path, but not always. We're in a state of constant change and disharmony. We love, but for personal and selfish reasons. Our willpower is characterized as variable, and we're predominantly run by our pride, ego, and selfish desires. We anger quickly and have little control over our impulses. We feel anxious, agitated, and rarely feel in harmony in our environments, bodies, or minds. Rajas is the quality of activity, the creative force of constant movement and change. While each one of us has each one of these universal qualities in some form or another, we're looking to come to a place of balance where we can be content, at peace, and full of unconditional love. We want to move to a sattvic state of purity, of calmness, and goodness. When we are in a pure state of body and mind, our thoughts are pure. We do not need to turn to drugs, alcohol, or other substances to feel that state of calm surrender. We have control over our senses, and we feel calm, pure, and good. Our speech is calm and thoughtful. Our bodies are clean and radiating health. At work, we work selflessly. We anger rarely, and we no longer live in a state of perpetual fear, anxiety, or depression. In fact, we are at peace. We practice forgiveness, truthfulness, prayer, spirituality, and meditation. Our minds are calm, loving, and universally connected. This is sattva, the state of purity. Ayurveda and yoga, practiced according to our current state, are the tools to develop that sattvic or pure state of mind. Yoga, when practiced on its own, without a working knowledge of Ayurveda, the universal qualities, and our current mental state, has the ability to fuel with great intensity our imbalances. Take, for example, the yogi, practicing an intense practice of fast-paced, rigorous, ego-fueling asana is in fact fueling these mental rajistic tendencies, taking them further away from the primary purpose of their practice, personal improvement, self-growth. In fact, a certain diet, a certain pranayama practice, a certain asana practice will further fuel these imbalances rather than mend them, which is why understanding the Ayurvedic principles of practice are so crucial. Most yoga practitioners come to the mat for a spiritual practice of self-improvement, only to fuel their imbalances in a most unhealthy way. By understanding our prakriti, our vikriti, our mental prakriti, we can develop a practice that will bring us to a state of balance, of peace, a state of love, a sattvic state. So now it's time to discover your mental prakriti. Some of you may already be resonating with one or the other, but most likely we are in a combined state with some attributes of each quality. Simply by bringing awareness to our mental qualities and our mental states, we can begin to shift from the areas of ignorance, inertia, overactivity, and into a place of peace, a place of balance, and a place of harmony. Our worksheet today is an exercise in determining your mental prakriti. As you go through the 20 questions, be sure not to overthink, overanalyze, and simply circle the answers as they come to you. When you have finished the worksheet, rest assured that wherever you are today is exactly where you are supposed to be, and that we are all well on our way to the path to balance. Simply by bringing awareness to that which troubles you is the first step to healing. Once you've completed the worksheet, be sure to pop on over in our Facebook community and share your findings and insights with us. Until next time, I'll see you in the next lesson.